Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between INFPs and ESFPs. I think that most people have asked themselves the question, who's the best match romantically long-term with another person based on certain characteristics? And I think that MBTI gives us a window into, the strengths and weaknesses that both parties, bring to, a relationship, and we can determine, at a pretty good, level whether or not they will be successful. So let's look at what INFPs and ESFPs have in common. Obviously, they're both feelers, which means that these are people who are right brain dominant and come from the heart. And so if you look at their function second, is that the INFP has introverted feeling as its first function, and the ESFP as introverted feeling as its second function. So they are the type of people who are very much about their own ethics and own morals, and in terms of their relationship style, they are the spontaneous and feminine. So these are the type of people who emphasize authenticity. The other point also, because they are obviously perceivers, so they're people who don't mind changing at the last minute. So they like actually a certain unpredictability when it comes to life in general, and they can easily adapt. So they will appreciate that about each other. Now, in terms of the challenge they'll be facing, is that the INFP is an intuitive feeler, and the theme of their life is spirituality and meaning. So these are people who very much like maybe more the abstract world. They're the type of people also who will emphasize, even more so their relationships than even the ESFP, and they tend to be also very monogamous. So this is something that they might have an issue with, because the ESFP, the theme of their life is movement and freedom, and these are people who don't need to be as close to their mates and loved ones as the INFP. So you'll see that they might have issues there. So the ESFP might feel that the INFP is maybe too serious. They need to sort of relax more about these issues. But the INFP, it's really especially the fact that they have introverted feeling as their first function, in terms of their ethics and morals and being true to themselves, being more so than the ESFP. The other aspect is that obviously the INFP is an introvert, and being an intuitive feeler means that even more so they need time on their own to recharge, because the intuitive feelers have among the best energies, and a person is really considered an introvert. Extrovert has to do with whether or not they get recharged by being around others. So if people around them have lower energy than they do, they will probably need time on their own. And a person who is an introvert and a feeler, they feel that even more. So they really need more time to recharge. But the ESFP is very much an extrovert, so they need people around them. Actually, the best way to actually punish, or quote unquote, an ESFP is to isolate them. They need others to actually feel alive, and they are the essential entertainer or performer. So they really like the feedback they're getting from having people around them. In other words, there are some positives, but also they might have challenges when it comes to situations. So I would say that it's a moderately compatible pair. So I would say that the INFP and the ESFP will have to make compromise to make it work. So as I said, is that they're both feelers, so they're right brain dominant. These are people who actually tend to be better at relationship than thinkers, because they tend to obviously be more empathetic, be able to maybe put themselves more in the other person's shoes, so that will help. The fact that both perceive is positive, in the fact that they don't mind changing things like last minute. They like unpredictability. An area that they might have issues, the fact that the ESFP tends to be less financially responsible than the INFP, so they'll have to sort of readjust that way. Now, in terms of their theme of their lives, the INFP is very much into feeler, so the theme of their life is spirituality and meaning, whereas the ESFP, being a sense of perceiver, is about movement and freedom. So in other words, the INFP will come across as more serious and sort of like someone who needs more reflection than ESFP. The ESFP is about action in the moment. So in other words, they will have to readjust there. So I would say that in the sense that yes, this couple could work, but then we need to be compromised on both ends. And the INFP, especially when it comes to the fact that they're very much an introvert, so they need time alone to recharge, where the ESFP is a quintessential entertainer who likes having people around. So they will have to sort of like find a middle ground if they were sharing, same sort of space together, if they were to live together, how much, time they need to interact with others. So let me know if you agree or disagree with the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.